Hi everybody, I'm Matt Epstein with Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. I'm here today with Kelly Pacheco, escrow officer, escrow coordinator, what is it?
Escrow officer, branch manager.
Escrow officer, branch manager, ooh, at Pickford Escrow in Encina.
Yes.
And I have been using Kelly for 5 years now, 6 years on a regular basis. And she does a lot of the escrows for me, and a lot of my clients don't know what escrow is. They know that it's kind of the company that holds all the money, but that's not really true. So we're here today to learn more about escrow ABC. So boil it down. What is escrow? Why it's somebody who's selling a home, somebody who's refinancing their house. Why do they need an escrow company?
Well, basically, we're the neutral third party that handles all the paperwork, and
Always have your paperwork.
I know, I always have to have paperwork. So basically, once a buyer and seller come to an agreement and they get a contract together, they come to escrow. So we'll be the neutral third party that takes care of making sure everything in that contract is handled and that they're protected, to make sure that we get the funds in, the documents, getting clear title, that type of thing, so that you know, you have your buyer, your seller, and then us in the middle.
Okay. And it's not just for a buy and a sell,
Yeah.
it's also if someone's going to be refinancing?
Right, we work with the banks and do the escrow portion for the bank.
So you're always the neutral third party between buyer or seller or...
The bank and the buyer, or the borrower.
Bank and the borrower, okay. And do you actually, I know you transfer the paperwork, but do you actually hold the money as well?
Well, we hold the buyer's funds, so when the buyer puts in their deposit, their initial deposit, that they're showing good faith that they've gone into the contract, and so the seller knows that they're in it, you know, to buy. And then when the buyer's closing funds need to come in, they come to us.
Okay.
Now the loan funds, when the lender funds the loans, those go to the title company, and they have the funds held there. We work with the title company to put everything together to make sure they have what they need, we have what we need, so that those funds can be dispersed appropriately.
Okay, so buyer puts their initial deposit, usually it's a 3% deposit, into escrow. You guys hold that money.
Right.
Then let's for easy math, let's say it's $1 million transaction. So they're getting an 80% loan. So they have their 3% deposit, that's $30,000. They need to come up with another $170,000 prior to the end of escrow. So 4 or 5 days before the close of escrow, the buyer is going to put their new $170,000 in. The bank is going to send the $800,000 directly to the title company.
Correct.
And then you, who are sitting on that other $200,000, you send that money to the title company as well
No, we hold it in our trust account.
Okay.
And so once the lender is in a position to fund the loan and they fund the money to the title company is the one that makes the payoff of any loans, taxes, liens, judgments, that type of thing.
Okay.
Once they've done that, the funds come to us, and then we calculate everything and disperse accordingly.
Got it. Okay. And why is it important? Why would somebody use Pickford Escrow versus this little escrow company down the street that's been there for 20 or 30 years, little mom and pop operation?
Well, we're owned by Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett, so right there we have a great backing. I've been in escrow for 30 years. I don't really like to say that, but
Since you were a little kid.
Yes,
Okay.
I just started when I was like 1. But our Pickford has been around for 25 years. We're just having our 25th anniversary.
Party.
And we are governed under the Department of Business Oversight. So we have to make sure that we are, we have our bonds, we have everything in line to make sure that the money's secure and everybody's protected.
Okay. And so if you guys were to take all the funds and go off to Mexico with your husband,
the clients are fully protected.
the clients are fully protected. Where if they were to do that at a little mom and pop,
right, they might not be.
They
don't have the same type of insurances and bonds.
That happens.
It has happened.
It happened recently.
Yeah.
Not too long ago here in Studio City.
Yeah, it was close. I don't remember exactly.
And opening escrow. What does that mean?
So basically, once, say you've come to an agreement with your buyer and your seller, the agents have put the contracts together and everybody's agreed, you open escrow. The buyer's going to send in their deposit, and we're going to open the title order to get that going, to make sure that there's anything showing on title that we're going to take care of any liens, judgments, payoffs of loans. We're going to work with the buyer's lender and do anything that they need to get the ball rolling for the loan process. And so basically it's just, we kind of are the middle person that kind of grabs everything together to make sure it all comes, that the agreements happened and that we're ready to go. But you open the escrow and we just start processing.
Okay, okay. And does the client, again, you're working for both the buyer and the seller, so, so you're neutral. Is that a true statement? I mean, if I send you the escrow paperwork and we're Berkshire Hathaway, you're Berkshire Hathaway, are you truly neutral if the buyer, if the other side is not a Berkshire Hathaway representative?
Oh yes, we have to be. I mean, we have to make sure that everything's being followed the way it needs to be followed. You know, we talk to both sides, and sometimes that there's not always, you know, a meeting of the minds on both sides, but we have to make sure it gets there so that we can have a mutual agreement between the parties.
Okay. And who regulates escrow companies?
The DBO, Department of Building. I could keep saying that, Building Business Oversight.
And that's a California regulation or federal?
That's California.
California,
yeah.
Okay. And recently, last year, the federal government finally initiated the Dodd-Frank after 8 years of going back and forth. I have no idea why it took so long. But they did some lending new guidelines. How has that affected escrow?
It's not too bad. I mean, we've had to deal with some, learning curves of what the lender's asking, but it hasn't been as bad as what I think everybody thought it was going to be. It's, just a learning curve. And so we've been dealing with the lenders. The lenders are actually even learning what their new regulations and procedures are. So we're learning with the lender.
Okay.
And, I don't think it's as bad as what everybody thought it was going to be.
Okay. And on that, again, I don't want to get technical, but there's a SOC 1 and a SOC 1 certified.
Right.
Dumb that down for...
Well, basically it's SOC 1, SOC 2 certified, and it's the lenders want to see that the escrow companies and closing services, title companies, have that certification, because then they trust that we know what we're doing and we are regulated so that we can fund the loans, because if we're not, they don't want to send the money to us. So basically we had to be best practice, and that means clean desk, we have to encrypt, there's all these things that we have to protect our clients, the buyers and the sellers, and we're there.
And this is because of the Dodd-Frank?
Right.
Okay. And you are fully... Are there escrow companies out there that aren't?
I've heard, I don't know of any myself, but I have heard that there's some that are not up to regulations.
Okay. And what is a typical escrow today? 30 days, 45 days?
They're saying, well, you can do 30, but it just really depends on the lender. But 45, I think is safe.
Okay. And fees. Let's say on $1 million transaction. What is a typical? What should a buyer seller be looking at as far as both buyer and seller typically pay?
Well, I mean, I can quote what our fees are, and we're pretty competitive. We're $2 per thousand plus a $250 base, and then there's miscellaneous fees based on the transaction itself. So at $1 million, your escrow fee to the buyer and the seller is $2,250 each.
$2,250 each. Yeah. Okay, $2,250 plus miscellaneous
right.
stuff. If there's notary charges,
notaries. If there's a loan, then there's different charges involved with that.
Okay, and I know every state's different, but in California, closing escrow, what does that mean? That there's a big party, that there's...
Sometimes, no. So, no, basically once the loan is in place and we get the buyer in, sign loan documents, we have to get the documents back to the lender so they can set up funding. So once the loan funds, which is 1 business day before we're going to actually close. So once that happens, then we set up the recording. We have to make sure that title's ready to go, that they can give free title, or free, and clear title, so that they can do the title insurance. We have to make sure all the money's in place so that once we do record, that we can disperse accordingly. And we basically send the docs to the county recorder, they record them, and then they let us know, and that's when the party happens.
Okay. There's not really a party though.
No. No.
And you said that there's free title insurance. How does that work out?
Not free title insurance. No, we want the title to be free and clear, so that you're giving the buyer free and clear.
Okay, so that there's no encumbrances on the property that's
right.
being transferred.
Right.
Okay, that's what you meant.
That's what I tried to say.
I don't think the title companies would be happy.
Well, we can try.
Anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think we kind of covered it.
Is it complicated?
Very.
No, it's not.
Come sit at my desk one day.
Yeah, it's easy. All right. Well, that's Escrow 101. Thank you for joining us. Again, my name is Matt Epstein. If you want to see other interesting interviews, you can go to my website, mattepstein.com. My phone number, if you need to get a hold of me, is 818-789-7408. Kelly, where do we get a hold of you if you want to open
it's
up Escrow?
Pickford Escrow, and we have a website, pickfordescrow.com. It's got great resources, and all my contact information is there. And I want to thank you very much.
Thank you.